Welcome to Civil War Digital Digest. I'm Will. It's a beautiful fall day, and in the fall we think about apples. Today we're going to take a primary source account and a primary document. We're going to put them together and we're going to make applesauce. As we get going today, I want to say thanks to two entities. First, the Waterloo Area Historical Society. Their farm here is a historic site east of Jackson, Michigan, and we get to shoot here, and we say thanks to them. Second, our patrons, the CWDD Coffee Grinders. We'd love to have you check it out. There's additional content there, both in old episodes, more research, and other ways. The trade for that is the patrons give a little bit of money each month, and that makes it more possible for us to bring these episodes to you. Check it out and join us there. Well, let's get talking about apples and applesauce. It's a lovely fall day in the Midwest, and apples are in, and it's a wonderful time of year. Our primary source today actually comes from July 1862, and that allows us to think about apples again in the Civil War era. And that is that apples have a wider range of varieties. They can start coming in July, and they can be harvested up through November. It allows you to spread out when you have fresh food on a farm. It also allows you to preserve at different times and make things last longer. Well, our soldier today is John Hebron of the 2nd Ohio.
We give a shout out to Griff at Spared and Shared and the entire team at Research Arsenal. It's Griff's transcriptions that are shared at Research Arsenal that allowed us to find this source. It's fantastic.
John's writing from Battle Creek, Tennessee, and he is writing home to his mother. He signs off on the letter, but then he adds a postscript. This is what John writes. He says, I have just received yours of the 18th and opened the envelope to let you know this. I have just been outside the pickets and got a haversack full of apples and made some applesauce in my big tin. Well, let's go on a run. Our haversack we filled with apples, and let's figure out, okay, we have the tin, we have the apples. How do we make the applesauce? Here comes the other primary source. We picked up a copy of Beadle's Dime Cookbook from Sullivan Press and went looking for applesauce and found a recipe here. It's rather straightforward. It says, stew rich tart apples tender, having first cut them up, and season well with sugar and a little butter. Well, that's a great simple recipe. We're going to make one modification. Sugar comes in the ration. Butter can be purchased from the sutler. I feel that that might be a little bit pushing our luck for the day. So we're going to take our apples, we're going to slice them up, stew them, and then add sugar and see where we get off to. Let's start by slicing the apples. Hebron mentions having a tin. We've got a small tin here, and we'll go ahead and get this started. Of course, just because I'm making applesauce doesn't mean I'm going to throw the rest of the apples away. When you think about how regular and bland the diet can be with hardtack, coffee, salt pork, maybe rice, maybe beans, apples are going to be a real treat. I'll make the sauce, but I'm also going to be going ahead and eating the skins. And I'll probably nibble on the cores a little bit. I have a great opportunity here as a soldier. I'm not going to waste it. The one thing you'll notice is I'm not using a regular cutting board. They just weren't available, but packaging boxes are the cardboard box of the day. They're disposable, and they're great for other uses. In this case, half a lid from a hardtack box is allowing me to cut this up and go ahead and make the applesauce. All right, so the apples are cut up. We've peeled them. We've put them down here in the pan. Now, this is going to cook really fast and it'll burn the apples if I put it on the main fire. I want to stew this slow and just make it not quite so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little water for the apples as they get started to stew in. I'm going to pull some of the coals over to the side and we're going to put our little pan on top of that and let the apples start to cook. So here we go. Okay, that wasn't very precise, but it's just a little bit of water to give the apples something to start to stew down in as they just get started. So now we're gonna wait, we're gonna watch, we're gonna stir the apples and stay after them for a little while. Let's get them down into sauce. All right, so we're back. It's been about a half an hour. The fire is running hotter than I'd like to keep applesauce if I were doing it at home, but we've kept it and it's stewed down. We added a little bit of water and then I added a little bit more. Remember, the recipe says after stewing, add sugar and butter. We don't have the butter today, but sugar comes in the ration, so that's an easy thing to do. We'll go ahead, pull this off. I'm gonna give it a good stir to work everything down in there. And now here we go. So let's go ahead. We'll pull a little bit into my plate and let's give it a try. All right, fresh out of the pan, so I expect that to be warm. My goodness, that's delicious today in the 21st century. Imagine being in a Civil War camp like this gives you a thought about, and you're gonna go ahead and eat something like this with a little bit of your sugar after having only hardtack coffee and salt pork for a couple of days. The change is magnificent. The taste is magnificent. Taste, food, and recipes are all great ways to find a connection to Civil War history. Here, we're meeting John Hebron from the 2nd Ohio and a soldier's experience. We're working with a recipe out of an original cookbook. We're putting the two together. I hope this gives you a little bit of connection to Civil War history. Whether you try it in camp or try it in the kitchen, give this a try and see what John was checking out. We'll see you next time.